morning. How is everyone this morning? This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I'm Evidential Medium Stacy Niedenthal, and we come together every Tuesday at 10:30, and we talk about subjects that maybe you're not super comfortable in talking with other people about. And today is not unlike any other day because we're going to broach a subject about grief. We're going to talk about the shifts. We're going to talk about how our life literally changes in front of us. And we're just going to take a moment to back away a little bit. I know we've been talking about, like the monthly subjects. And June, we were talking about light and joy and inner child work. But everything around me and within me keeps bringing grief up. So that's what we're going to talk about. So welcome to Tuesday Talks at 10:30. If this is your first time here, put a 1 in the comments. I want to personally welcome you. Welcome to the Connecting Family. This is a safe space that I created a couple years ago to talk about anything spiritual, grief, meditation, communication, connecting with yourself. And in this space, I would ask that you open your mind and allow the words that resonate with you stay upon your heart. And if something doesn't resonate with you, don't allow it to take away from the things that do resonate. So, okay, here we go. So, even though the monthly talk is about joy and inner child, I had this heaviness on my heart. And I thought, you know what? I need to back away from that a little bit. And I need to talk about something that we don't like to talk about. Grief, death, preparing for it. So I've got this deck that's called Unpack This. If you come to the Spiritual Women's Retreat in October, we unpack a lot of different stuff, and there's different categories. And one of the categories is grief and healing. And I pulled 2 cards. I'm a medium. I'm going to pull 2 cards. And the 2 cards I pulled were, how has loss affected your sense of security? And how do you deal with the fear of losing someone or something that you love? So I meditated about these, and I thought about, man, when loss hits, it's like an earthquake. Your whole ground shifts. Everything around you changes. And this is where we're going to start today. And I just ask that you take a deep breath, relax, be open to listen to the words. Again, take what resonates and hold on to even things that may not resonate. Because at a later time, it may be important to you. I need to move a little bit closer. So have you ever noticed, of course I'm going to use a scenario. Have you ever noticed, oh crap, that when a tree falls, it has these grooves within it. It has this mark within it that says, I was here. Even though you don't know what happened, you can see these marks within this beautiful tree. And a tree that grows against a fence for decades, it begins to lean into that fence. The fence becomes part of its support system. And then one day, maybe the fence is removed, but the tree is still standing. Maybe one of those marks in the bark was from this fence. And when this fence is removed, the tree seems different somehow. It feels the wind differently, sways, moves, grows. It just seems different. You may not be able to really put your finger on what the difference is, but you can feel it. You can sense that there's a difference. Many people think grief begins when someone dies, but I believe that it starts much earlier. It begins in the moment that we realize that the people that we love that are in our lives are not permanent. They're not here forever. There's that reality of mortality, and it feels different for everyone. So the truth is that grief isn't always about losing the person. It's about losing the security of that person. Just like the tree had the fence to lean against. There's the security of what this loved one means to you. And we don't always realize the security that we have in that person. Because when we think in our human minds, and then we realize that security isn't money in the bank, it isn't retirement, or a plan to retire, it isn't the locks on the doors. Security is often found in people. The people that we call no matter what time it is, no matter what the issue is, or just have a simple conversation. The parent who knows our history, all of our childhood stories and events. The spouse who witnessed our life, the one that we've built our life with, our partner in crime. The friend who always shows up, the one who lifts you up or scrapes you off the ceiling, tells you the cold, hard facts, but the one that always has your back. Without realizing it, we lean into people like that tree leans into the fence. They become a part of our safety in the world. And there's this fear that nobody wants to talk about. Once we love deeply, everything else quietly arrives. Fear. Not just because anything is wrong, not because someone is sick, simply because this person matters. Many of us have thought, what will I do when they're gone? How many of you have had conversations with this in your head? Put I have in the comments. And when this thought comes into your head, do you immediately push it out? Push it far out of our minds. How can I actually think of them not being in this world? How can I think about being here without them? The fear of losing someone we love, well, it's the most universal experience. You've heard me say before, every day that we live is a closer day to when we no longer exist. And even though that is a fact and we all know it, we rarely speak about it. Because talking about it makes it feel real. So, how do you deal with the fear of losing someone that you love, someone that's important to you? One of the hidden realities of grief is it doesn't just affect us after they're lost. Sometimes it affects us before. Parents get older, spouses become ill, a friend receives a diagnosis, or perhaps nothing is even wrong and suddenly we become aware that our life is not permanent on this earth. And that awareness is freaking terrifying. People respond in one of two ways. First of all, avoidance. Push the thought away. I don't want to think about it. We distract ourselves. We refuse to have the conversation about aging or illness or planning. Second is just on the other end. We freaking worry. We begin to rehearse loss over and over in our minds. We believe that if we rehearse it enough, somehow we'll be prepared. But neither avoidance nor worry actually creates peace. One ignores the possibilities of loss. The other lives inside of it before it arrives. Neither allows us to be present. So I want you to look at this with a different perspective. The fear of losing someone we love is the price that we pay for loving so deeply. The goal isn't to eliminate the fear. The goal is to keep it from stealing today's moments. Because when you fear and it becomes too loud, it steals your moments. Something heartbreaking happens. We begin to grieve people who are still here. We stop enjoying the presence of them because we're afraid of their absence. We become so focused on that last chapter. What am I going to do? What am I going to miss? What do I need to absorb? That we are actually missing the pages that we're currently living. Yes? We push it out of our head. We fall into denial because that's an illusion of safety. This is where denial enters. One of the most fascinating things about the human being is that the way that we protect ourselves from discomfort. Many avoid conversations about death or loss or wills or funerals or wishes or the end of life planning. It's not a dramatic denial. It's ordinary. It's that denial that says, I don't want to discuss a will. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about your funeral wishes. We have plenty of time. I'll deal with it later. I don't want to prepare because then I have to think about it. And then it becomes real. My nervous system goes, danger, danger. It's real. But what we're really saying is, I don't want to feel vulnerable. We make ourselves believe, not talking about it, that we can push it further out into the future. It's not going to happen unless I talk about it. Because the moment that we acknowledge that loss is a possibility, the ground shifts beneath us. We get shaky. We've confused avoidance with security. And avoidance is not security. It's a temporary comfort. And I'm not talking about, I have plenty of time, I don't want to talk about it, it won't happen. It's like refusing to look at the weather forecast because you don't want to see the storm coming. You close the curtains because you feel safer. But you know what? The weather doesn't change. The storm still comes. Denial is, simply put, the rejection of reality. It's an attempt to preserve our security. The mind whispers, if I don't acknowledge it, maybe I won't have to face it. Yet life has a way of reminding us that uncertain exits, whether we prepare or not, happen. The closed curtains feel safer, safer, but the weather didn't change. So there's a difference between fear and love. One of the things that I've learned is that we cannot love deeply without becoming vulnerable. And I've learned it the hard way. No confusion before the passing causes so much grief, so much chaos during the grieving process. I'm living it right now. So much chaos, so many things that we didn't know that were sprung on us. So loss and love are twins, because you can't have one without risking the other. Again, the goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is not to spend your life rehearsing tragedy either. Because when fear takes over, when we begin grieving people who are still here, we stop being present. We break away. We miss those moments because we're worried about tomorrow's pain. And if the people that we love could speak to us in those moments, I doubt that they would say, I want you to worry about losing me. They would say, love me while I'm here. Be present. Make memories. Live. So denial and preparation, what's the difference? Because good God, it seems like they are at opposite ends of the spectrum, but they also sit hand in hand. Do you fear preparation feels like I'm giving up hope? I'm saying, well, when you pass, I'm ready for you to go. But preparation isn't surrender. Preparation is love. A plane, before it takes off, every passenger listens to the safety instructions. No one believes that the airplane is going to crash simply because the flight attendant points out the exits. The preparation for being ready for an emergency doesn't create the danger. It creates readiness. The same is true for life. Preparing a will, having difficult conversations, making your wishes known, organizing important documents. These things don't invite loss, they create peace. Think about one of the greatest gifts that you can leave behind to your loved one. It's not money or possessions, it's clarity. Because grief is so heavy, and unanswered questions makes it heavier. Denial may create a temporary comfort. Preparation creates lasting security. One helps us feel better today, and the other helps prepare the people that we love for tomorrow. I've had several clients who will come in and say, I hope they're happy with how I arranged their celebration of life. I hope they agree with the way I split up their property. Inevitably, loss arrives for everyone. And one day, for all of us, loss arrives and grief enters. Here I am. I'm grief. I'm the heavy pain and the empty spot in my heart that the person used to fill. And what makes grief so difficult is that we're not just losing the person, like we spoke before. We're losing everything that that person represented. A mother who is a history keeper, the childhood storyteller, your biggest supporter, reminding you where you came from, a safe space, a voice of advice. A spouse, it's your daily routine. This person you wake up to, you go to sleep to, that you talk to, future plans, your companion. And a child dreams for the future, possibilities and milestones that you expected to experience. A piece of my identity, my legacy. This is why grief feels bigger than we expected. We're not just grieving one loss, we're grieving many. Grief is not only the loss of a person, it's the loss of the certainty, of the safety that this person gave us. Grief is rarely one thread breaking. Your entire freaking tapestry is unraveling. Your whole world is changing. And grief feels frightening because after loss, many people experience anxiety. You've never experienced the loss of this person. They're not going to pass multiple times so that you can experience it. And you've never been placed in the situation of no longer having this person. So now all of a sudden you worry about everyone. You become hyper aware of time. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're grieving wrong. But grief shatters the illusion that life is predictable. Our constant, our normal, everything changes. And we can't change it back. The phone calls that came, the diagnosis that happened, the goodbyes that arrived, the life that was taken. And suddenly the world feels less certain. It's shaky now and unpredictable. Why? Because unfortunately, grief teaches us something we spend most of our lives not wanting to think about. And that is, nothing is guaranteed. This illusion of certainty disappears. And all of a sudden, it doesn't just, the world doesn't feel right. Because it's unpredictable now. I understood my day-to-day for this many years and how my life worked. And now, what's going on? How do I maneuver that? How do I move to that? How do I go from point A to point B without this person? You know, the illusions of certainty disappear. Our nervous system begins scanning for danger because it has learned that life can change in a moment. And you begin to ask, your nervous system becomes awake and begins to ask, who's going to leave next? How can I trust life again? Can I be this vulnerable? And the big question is why? Why did this person leave me? Why does this life no longer exist? What we're really mourning is the certainty and the safety that this person brought to us in our world. That beautiful connection of security. The truth is that loving someone always involves vulnerability. There's no way to love deeply and guarantee that your heart will never be broken. And you know what? Most of us would not choose that anyway. So perhaps security isn't found in knowing we're never going to lose someone. Perhaps it's found knowing that this love was worth the risk. That we can survive the heartbreak because the love was worth the risk. And we can carry that love forward. And even when people leave this world, the relationship continues in the stories, in the lessons, in the values, in the love that they've planted with us. The fear of losing someone. It's a reminder that your heart has found something precious. Don't let fear of a funeral, of a future goodbye, keep you from fully living in today's hellos. Nice to meet you. How have you been? Because preparation is an act of love. There's this bridge of fear and loss and courage to keep loving anyway. And that's why preparation matters. It's this act of love. Not that we're rushing the loss. We know it's going to happen. But it gives us hope. And because love prepares us, preparation says, if something happens, I want the people I love to have clarity. Because even if you're prepared, you really aren't. But you had the conversation. One of the greatest gifts that we leave is not money, it's peace, it's answers. Few burdens for grieving hearts. Denial creates this temporary comfort. Preparation creates a lasting security. Less time spent wondering if you fulfilled their wishes. Because instead of being worried about, did I do the right thing? We have time to remember them, to grieve them, to rebuild security within ourselves, even though it's been taken. The challenge after loss is that we try to rebuild the life that we had before. My friends, grief does not work that way. The goal isn't returning to the way that you are. The goal, the path is learning how to stand differently, like the tree that lost the fence. We begin to strengthen our roots, roots that we never knew that we had. We figure out things that we never had to figure out before. We discover resilience. Maybe we discover a new community, faith. We discover parts of ourselves that have been quietly growing beneath the surface all along, that was nourished by their love. True security isn't based on certainty. It becomes based on trust. Trust that we can survive difficult days. How many times have you thought to yourself, not necessarily grief related, but you're like, I'll get through it. We'll figure it out. We've been through hard times. We're still standing. Trust that that love remains even when their physical presence changes. Trust that you can carry on with their memory, their lessons, their conversations within you, and know what matters most. Eventually, grief asks us difficult questions. If the person who made us feel safe is gone, where do I find that security now? The answer is not becoming who we were before. We're changed. We're growing from the security within ourselves. Resilience, faith, community, purpose, strength. We learn that the love received from them never truly disappeared because it's part of us. You know, the hardest part of grief is not always just missing that person. That's hard. Sometimes it's learning how to feel safe in the world that no longer looks the same. It's different. My security has changed. So when we go back and we think about that tree, when it does fall and it has all these marks, those are things that happened with the tree that it takes with it. The memories, the growth. But before that tree fell, it was part of the fence that was removed. The security. Its roots deepened. It did not die right away. Its trunk strengthened. It learned to stand in a new way. Perhaps that's what grief ultimately teaches us. How to stand in a new way. The people we love became part of our foundation. The people we love become that strength beneath our feet. And when they leave, grief is the process of learning how to stand on the strength that they've left with us. Because when they're no longer physically beside us, the love that they planted remains. Their wisdom remains, their lessons remain, their influences remain, their love, it still remains. So maybe the security that we fear loss is not the promise that nothing will change. Maybe the security belongs with trusting that when changes come, we'll still be able to stand. It may be a little bit different, but we'll still stand. And the deepest truth may be, love gives us those roots. Love teaches how deep they truly are. A tree never becomes the same when the fence is removed, but the roots deepen. And I think that's a great lesson. Security was never meant to completely encompass us our entire lives. It was there to shape us, to nurture us, to support us. But eventually life asks us to discover something deeper. That beneath every loss, beneath every fear, beneath every shattered expectation, there's strength that you may not have known that you were there. The people we love become a part of us. Their wisdom, their laughter, their lessons, their love, good grief. People say all the time, oh my God, you sound just like your mom. And while grief changes the sense of security, it reveals something beautiful. Their roots remain in us. And those roots help us stand again. The greatest act of love is not pretending loss will never come. The greatest act is preparing our hearts, our lives, and our relationship. So when those winds do arrive, The people that we love are held by our roots, the roots that we left behind. It's not pretending goodbye will never come. It's leaving enough light behind that those that we love can still find their way in the dark. And to me, that last quote echoes the entire message of your ground shaking. That preparing for loss isn't about expecting death. It's about caring for those who remain. Because all in all, don't you want them to live the life that they love and love the life that they live? I think we do. Allow their wisdom to remain within you, even if you stand differently. Because the unknown creates a lot of chaos and misunderstanding afterwards. I pray that the words that I said hit your ears the way that they needed to, with a deep understanding of love and respect. Because grief, it shakes our world. But if we have an understanding of what this person wants, we can honor them without worrying about, would they be happy with what I did? All right, guys, I will talk to you next Tuesday at 10:30. My events are on Connecting the Spirit with Stacy. Check them out. Next week, we're probably going to go back to talking about playfulness and expression. But I feel like even though I have these themes each month on Tuesday Talks, life isn't all about rainbows and, I don't know, funnel cakes. Just think positive. I just felt like I needed to get real with you today. Because grief is real. And avoidance is real. Insecurity is real. And the loss of that security, makes grief harder to wrap our head around and to heal from. I love you all so much. I pray that you have a magical day. And know that, you know what? You are meant for great things. And those around you, with you, those who have left, love you very much and are with you. All right. Peace out. I'll talk to you next week.